Yo, 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 everybody. What's going on? I'm here with Dr. Jon Chung. This is Elliot Smithson. I'm a physical therapist. He's a chiropractor. And today we are going to be talking about how to improve your aim with your brain. The aim with the brain stuff. Yeah. John, say hi.
Hey, everybody. Great intro, Elliot, as always.
For sure, for sure. We'll stick around here for a minute or two and just let people kind of filter on in. How's it going in the chat, everybody? We got Horror, Rhino, Nazrio, and Nox. What's up, everybody? So brain. Much aim, so brain. How's the audio doing, guys? Are y'all able to hear John okay?
Let's see. Looks pretty good. I have the stream up on the other screen and it sounds decent.
Yeah. Sweet.
Man, the scene looks good.
What's that?
The scene looks good.
Yeah, the scene looks nice. Hopefully the PowerPoint will look just as nice. Audio is decent, good to hear.
Beautiful.
What are you in? You taking classes right now, Nox? What assignments do you have? We both know this struggle very well, being professional students, the both of us, for the past 10 years.
I just wrote another standardized test last week. That was fun. Haven't done that in a hot minute.
That's miserable. Les Miserables, as they say in the musical theater world.
Exactly. Is this where we start singing about the?
Do you hear the people singing a song of angry men? Music of the people who will not be slaves again.
That's pretty good. I'm actually kind of impressed.
Hey, I'm just trying to be Hugh Jackman when I grow up. They scrapped final test for one tiring project. Projects are, I think, worse than tests in a lot of ways.
I hard agree.
You study for a test and you're kind of done with it. The projects, they definitely take more out of you.
It's just done versus a project. If you keep working on it, you could just keep going and going.
Yeah, is it a group project? Because those are actually the worst, especially when you have other people that don't exactly pull their fair share. Do a presentation about every subject that you study, and you're here listening to our lecture too. Wow.
Wow,
man. That's dedication. A lifelong learner.
Yeah.
I love to see it.
Seriously, that's awful. Every subject you studied, holy crap. Pardon my potty mouth.
The whole crap from Dr. Jonathan Chung. Cancelled.
Yep. It's the Canadian in me, you know?
Yeah. He's too polite for his own good. Yeah. With the test, you retain some of the information. Yeah, with the project, you just kind of have to copy and paste stuff until it's pretty much done. So not really a whole lot that you have to retain after you just like kind of put it into the format. Kind of need to know what we're talking about a little bit here. But
I think there's pros and cons to both, but I definitely prefer tests better.
Yeah. All right.
The presentations are good for stuff like this, right? You get practice for the public speaking.
Yeah, 100%. We got 6 people in the chat. I think we're ready to rock and roll here. After we are done with this presentation, we're going to be hopping over into the actual stages channel over at the VOLTAIC Discord. So if you guys have questions about anything and everything, you can feel free to kind of chat with us there about that. This presentation is more or less going to be just here on YouTube. Feel free to chime in with any questions. But the material here is a little more straightforward, I think. So let's hop into it here. I'm going to pull up the actual PowerPoint. We're going to switch the scene over. I'm going to present. And that's the wrong view. Hold on. We are going to swap these real quick. I clearly practiced a whole lot. Swap presenter. There it is. There's the PowerPoint. We've got it going. I'm in the top corner. John is invisible because he doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm basically a ghost now, guys.
Yeah, but you will hear him chiming in, so feel free to still ask him questions. So what exactly are we talking about today, John?
We're going to be talking about BDNF. So it's actually a compound in your brain. I'm not going to go too into it.
Don't spoil it yet. Don't spoil it yet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the main thing we're talking about.
Yeah. We want to show you how you can leverage your brain to aim better and shoot faster and be a better gamer. That's really what this entire presentation is about.
Using magic. I mean science. Using science.
Magic science.
Magic science. Science that works like magic. How about that? All right. So before we get into any of that, let's talk about this thing called executive function. Pardon me while I pull this up over here. So executive function is essentially all of the skills that you use when you're gaming. Things like memory, your ability to keep information in your head that you just saw, the ability to multitask, even though multitasking isn't a thing, it's really task switching. Things like keeping your impulses under control, keeping yourself not tilted, keeping track of kind of like things like your inventory or making decisions on the fly. All of the stuff that we think of as gaming skills, all of the mechanical skills and game sense things that you can boil your gameplay down to kind of come from this principle that we see in the brain called executive function. And through scientific knowledge, we really have a good understanding of how these kind of things originate in the brain and how we can improve them. So we want to talk next about how exactly we can leverage external things to improve those executive function skills. And again, there's not any research specifically in esports comparing these things. So this is stuff we've taken from the general literature in science and kind of extrapolated it to you guys in the esports world and community. So what exactly are we talking about when we say that there's a hack that you can use to improve your ability to aim and make decisions and things like that in game? Well, there's actually this chemical in your brain. It's produced by your brain and it works on certain areas of the brain that are associated with these things, but it's called BDNF. And what BDNF stands for is brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and that is a lot of words. But basically, what we're talking about here is a chemical that kind of helps facilitate how your brain creates those pathways. I know you guys have heard a lot of people calling each other smooth brain, but BDNF is actually what helps make your brain a little bit more wrinkly, so you're not going to be as smooth brain. And what this does is it helps with the process we call plasticity, and that's the brain's ability to change itself, to mold itself to new environments, to get better at doing things and tasks that we have to do while we are playing. So whether that be aim, whether that be movement, whether that just be tilt control, all of the things that we do with gaming, BDNF acts as kind of a fertilizer for your brain to be able to adapt to all of those different things just a little bit better. So we actually see studies where you can get up to 20% more efficiency in your mental functions when this BDNF chemical is being released in kind of a regular way. So these are some of the things that we've kind of boiled down to show you what exactly is being affected by executive functions in your brain. So if you take a look at things like mechanical skills, when you're changing your binds and you need to learn how to play again, BDNF can help you kind of retrain your brain in a quicker way. If you're trying to improve something specifically, like your tracking, for instance, skill shots, combos if you're playing fighting games, all of these mechanical skills that you're trying to either improve or learn, BDNF will kind of help fertilize the soil for those skills to grow. And then we can break things down into its game sense components as well. So making call outs, movement patterns, different locations, decision making based on quick decision making is kind of how we are able to make changes, or how BDNF is able to help make changes in the brain. And things like mood regulation and tilt management are also super big in this kind of sphere of executive function that we're going to be improving. Do pro gamers have higher BDNF levels than despite the relatively bad lifestyles? Yeah, so there's not a lot of research on that. That would be an amazing study that I would love to see the results of. I'm really super interested in this whole topic because it just seems like it's so pivotal for everything that we do. I've talked to a lot of pros who they say when their lifestyle is more regular and they're actually doing all of the pillars of performance, so their nutrition is in line, exercise is happening daily, different types of exercise, they're working on their mental health actively, they're not just sitting and grinding in front of the computer, they say that they play better. So I'm willing to bet that it does, but we unfortunately don't have enough research in esports for me to sit here and say yes. But based on a lot of the research that is out there, looking at these different things that help to improve BDNF, and what actually causes increased levels over time, I would say that you can apply that to gamers as well, and their experiences can extrapolate. So that brings us to our next slide here. What can we actually do to improve the BDNF levels in our brain? So there's three main strats: exercise, nutrition, and socialization. And that kind of goes in with like the whole mental health mindset. As humans, we are inherently social creatures. And that definitely plays a big factor in how we perceive the world, and our mood regulation and things like that, is just being social. But we'll get a little bit more into that later. But essentially, all of the pillars of foundation that we see for health and wellness performance that we talk about and we preach so often here at 1HP are all the same things that improve these BDNF levels in your brain. It's actually shown that when BDNF is not present in the brain in normal levels, you have conditions like ADHD, depression, obesity, and insomnia that actually can kind of propagate in the absence of it. But we're not really going to talk about like how BDNF is clinically decreased in populations. We're just going to kind of give you some tips here on how to actually improve it for assuming that everybody is healthy. So this isn't meant to like diagnose any of these mental conditions that might be present or coexisting with your desire to be better at either aim or whatever other mechanical skills you'd like to improve at. So just wanted to kind of get that out of the way first. So we're going to jump right into the first strat, which is exercise. So there's two different types of ways that we can improve BDNF in our brain, and it's going to be A, in the short term, and B, in the long term. So with short-term releases of BDNF, this is useful if you're like about to play a tournament, about to scrim, need like a boost of energy, have been playing for a long time, trying to really just increase those BDNF levels in the short term. And I'm not saying that the only thing that like exercise is going to do is increase BDNF, and that's the only factor that's going to help you possibly play better. There's also brain oxygenation, there's cortisol regulation, there's like sympathetic nervous system stimulation that has a lot of effect in this. So I'm not saying that BDNF is the miracle element here. This is just one piece of the puzzle. And exercise is useful for a lot of different things, but I just wanted to give you guys this perspective specifically. So in the short term, we can exercise to actually improve the levels of BDNF acutely. So exercising hard for about 3 minutes. And when we say exercising hard, we're talking about being out of breath. A lot of the studies don't really have like a heart rate that this is associated to. This is just complete metabolic fatigue. So I'm talking 3 minutes of like burpees or running as fast as you can for 3 minutes, just doing something to absolutely exhaust you, can give you a BDNF spike in the short term. And if you guys want kind of citations for all of these things, you can click the link in the description of this video. It'll send you to the article that I wrote about this, where it kind of covers all of this stuff. And then you can read through all of the articles to kind of see where we pulled this information from. But back to what I was saying here is that really intense short-term exercise can improve your BDNF levels on like a day-to-day kind of basis. So hold on one second here.
David's asking where Kate is.
Where's Kate? I don't know. Where is Kate?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the hard eyes. Uh-oh. Okay.
She's likely working on her paper.
Likely working on a paper, yes.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any questions about any of that before we moved on here? No, I don't think so. So
let's keep it rolling.
Yeah. This slide, I was supposed to talk about working out hard for about 3 minutes, and I already did that. So you can just enjoy these beautiful people here jumping side to side.
Yeah, that's actually Elliot on the far right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's me. 100%.
That's him. Yeah.
So you guys should be looking to do these 3 minutes of high intensity exercises right before you're about to do something like warm up in game or train your aim. Because remember, BDNF kind of acts as fertilizer for learning new things or helping you improve your skills. So right before you aim train would be a great time to just absolutely exhaust you with a 3 minute workout. Any form of exercise is great. Yeah, anything you do is great, even if it's just jumping up and down in the air for 3 minutes. All you're trying to do is absolutely exhaust yourself. So you're just trying to get to the point where you don't feel like you can jump one more time, or you don't feel like you can run another like minute. You just want to take your entire body to its like breaking point essentially in 3 minutes. So that has been shown to improve these BDNF levels, and that will help you actually train better and make your changes last longer when you're training. So other times that it might be useful, between rounds or matches, like if you're in a long like Valorant game and you've been playing for a while and you notice that your team is slacking, and you have like just a couple minutes to stand up for a break, you should definitely try to incorporate something like this and just make a mental note if it changes anything. I'm not going to promise that it will, but I think that it could definitely be something that you can play around with and see what works for you. And this is great for tilt management as well. If you're getting frustrated, there's nothing worse that you can do than just continue to dwell on whatever frustrated you. If nothing else, doing a really intense 3 minute workout can help you kind of clear your head and help you what we call turn the page in sports psychology. And that's kind of like move on from whatever frustrated you and kind of start thinking ahead.
Cesar has a great question. If I have never trained, is that advisable?
Yeah, so it's like relative to whatever would make you tired. So when we as physical therapists work in like the hospital setting, people have difficulty getting up out of bed and standing up. That completely exhausts them. So for someone that isn't trained, standing up and actually moving around just a little bit, if it's tiring for you, it's all relative to like what your level of training is. If you're an endurance marathon runner, you might have to do something pretty intense to actually fatigue yourself to get the short-term benefits here. Yeah, Nizro, that's a perfect response there. Isn't that adrenaline? So like I said, there's other factors here that will also help kind of wake you up and make you feel more alert. Adrenaline or keying up your sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight response, definitely is going to play a big role here. So I'm not saying BDNF is the only thing that's working when you're doing a quick short burst of exercise like this, like mid-game as a pick-me-up, but it is one of the factors that is useful for improving your ability to make changes to your brain and kind of regulate your emotions. So adrenaline is definitely a key ingredient here as well.
Definitely.
Okay, so we talked about the short-term benefits of BDNF. Let's move on here a little bit to the long-term benefits. 20 minutes. So 20 minutes a day is really what we're looking at here to unlock BDNF in the long term. So the short-term burst, you might get benefits for an hour or two. If you want a consistent release of BDNF in your brain, doing 20 minutes of exercise. So that's going to be more of your cardio exercise, not necessarily your strength training. You can tire yourself out with strength training in 20 minutes, but cardio is definitely going to give you that kind of longer that time frame to hit that 20 minutes faster. So there's studies that suggest that 20 minutes a day of high intensity cardio can improve your mental functions. We looked at one study that took young adults and had one group do brain training and exercise, and the other group just do the brain training. After 6 weeks, the first group that did the exercise and the brain training blew the other group out of the water. And that kind of goes to show that no matter how good your mechanical skills are and your game sense is right now, if you're not doing consistent exercise that's going to fatigue you, they're not as good as they could be. So what are some examples of exercises you can do to really improve kind of your BDNF levels long term? Body weight exercises, calisthenics, things like running, swimming, jogging, hiking, anything that's going to get your heart rate up and make you feel tired. 20 minutes a day is going to improve that long-term release of this substance in your brain.
Satima training time. If you can fit all that into 3 minutes, whew, and I think you might be a little bit beyond us, but it's a good place to start. Air squats are a great one too. I like doing those personally, especially if you're a little bit new to training. It can be a really quick, easy way to get your heart rate up in 3 minutes.
Air squats are awesome. I personally need to go to a gym to do any kind of exercise. I'm really bad at just doing it in my room. I need kind of a sanctuary to get into the right mental state to do it.
Fair enough.
But there's a lot of calisthenic exercises you can just sit at your chair even and stand up out of your chair. Just doing sit to stands. Pulling your chair back and just standing up and sitting down in your chair for 20 minutes. You do that every day. I guarantee you'll be a different person in a month. If you've been hitting a plateau in your training, this is really something you can do to kind of try to kickstart your performance.
Nizra had a great question too. Is regular resistance training for 1 hour plus still great, or is cardio still superior?
You want that 20 minutes of cardio. Resistance training is good, and you're getting your heart rate up with resistance training, but you're not getting your heart rate up and fatiguing your entire system as much as when you're doing cardio. And I think that I was looking at studies on BDNF and resistance training, and it doesn't seem like it does the same thing when you're just doing resistance training as opposed to actually making yourself sweat and completely out of breath. It's really the breathlessness thing that seems to have the most effect to it. It really isn't tied to heart rate. It's the studies that I looked at kind of showed breathlessness was the factor that really made a big impact here. Not to say that you shouldn't do strength training. You should definitely do strength training just for other reasons.
Yeah, they're good for different things. That's it.
Yeah, you can get a bigger behind. Yeah, you can definitely do the Brazilian butt lift all natural by doing a lot of squats. 100%.
Definitely.
Booty, 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 rocking everywhere. Anyhow, so what is the best schedule? So if you're looking to do 20 minutes of cardio, just take into consideration things like work and your sleep schedule. Doing 20 minutes of cardio too close to bed is definitely not the best idea in the world if you're trying to get a reasonable amount of sleep. So that is something that you want to be mindful of. But if you can't do 20 minutes of cardio either right off the bat, I know that's really hard for beginner people. Either slow it down. You don't have to kill yourself, pace yourself. So 20 minutes is difficult but doable. Or just start with 10 minutes and work your way up. If you want to just start even lighter than that, that's okay. You don't need to. Working out is not an all or nothing kind of thing, especially for people just getting into the gym. What I recommend is on the first day, just go in the gym, lift one weight, do that 10, 15 times, and then walk out of there. You've done something. You've been in the gym, and next time you'll be like, okay, that wasn't too bad. I'll do a little bit more this time. And then you slowly build that up there. The worst thing you can do is just completely not go. As long as you're in the gym, you're doing something worthwhile. As long as you put on your running shoes and you run for 3 minutes, that's all you do, you've done something. That's all you need to do is just do something. A jump rope can be a really great idea. Yo, to catch you up, Priyana, BDNF is brain-derived neurotropic factor, and essentially it's fertilizer for your brain. So it helps you manage all of the different things that you need to do in gaming. So it helps you prevent tilt. It helps with your executive functions like task switching. It helps with things like mood regulation. It helps with decision making and mechanical skills like aim, reaction time. It has a lot of tie-ins to everything that we use when we game. This is a quick little recap here. Also, if you click that article or click the link in the YouTube description, you can get a link to this article, and it kind of explains everything there as well. This is more or less just a presentation form of that article. So if you guys want more information about this, definitely check that out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the whole exercise component. Do you guys have any other questions about exercise before we moved on to nutrition?
Let's see here. Looks like you covered it really well.
I think so. So I'm going to hand this over to you, John, and we're going to be talking about what the best thing you can eat to improve BDNF is.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So when it comes to nutrition and BDNF, you might be a little bit surprised, but actually the best thing to eat is nothing. So what the studies show is that intermittent fasting can really, really make your brain work better. So it can actually increase the levels of BDNF by 50 to 400%, which is obviously staggering.
That's a lot of percentage.
That's a lot of percent.
Increase
400%. Right? So, and we really think this is because in the absence of food, if you didn't think better, you kind of died off because you can't think and can't catch food, can't gather anything. So this is almost that survival instinct of, I need food, how do I get it? Let's make the brain work a little bit better.
Yo, Nash just said that it's Ramadan. Yeah. A lot of they do a lot of studies for Islamic people that are fasting during Ramadan. That's where a lot of these studies are based on. Kind of the intermittent fasting that you do during Ramadan and how it makes you feel a little bit quicker. That's really the whole point of all of these like religious-based fasts, are to kind of improve your connection to your brain, make you think a little bit clearly, kind of a mental reset. Can you speak to that at all, Knox? I don't know if you observe or anything like that, but do you feel like you're a little bit more mentally clear when you do a fast? Give him a moment.
Yeah, give him a sec.
I think we're on a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really really interesting that he brings that up, because that is what they do. Yeah,
that's cool.
Says it does, and I've noticed it as well when I do fasting for one reason or another. That I actually do feel like I'm a little bit quicker, mood is better. It feels great. It's just hard to get into.
Yeah, exactly.
You ranked up a lot.
So this intermittent fasting, whether it's he ranked up a lot this Ramadan.
The Ramadan meta. Awesome. That's what's up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So for anyone who doesn't know, intermittent fasting is basically when you choose a certain section of your day to not eat and then restrict your eating to only a predetermined time period. So what's the best dosage for an intermittent fast? So as we all know, there's 24 hours in a day. What we found in research was a 16-hour fast and an 8-hour eating window was the best breakup of your time. So that means that maybe you skip breakfast and lunch, and then you have a larger late lunch and then an early dinner, and then you just skip breakfast, right? It depends on what you like. Some people like to have their eating window earlier in the day and then stop eating earlier. Some people prefer to skip meals in the morning and then midday and then just eat at night. It's whatever works for you. So Elliot brought up this awesome graphic here. This is the best schedule. And so for what I was describing, you might have your first meal at 12, last meal at 8 p.m., and then you fast the other hours of the day. It doesn't have to be super complicated. Just make sure you keep your eating to that 8-hour time period.
Yeah. So skipping breakfast is a legit strategy, contrary to what your parents always told you, that it's the most important meal of the day.
Yep. It's definitely not because I'm lazy in the mornings and don't want to make breakfast. That's definitely not why I do it.
Also, I really appreciate millennials and Gen Z for just calling skipping breakfast a scientific way to diet.
Right? You're just being smarter, right? It's not because we like to wake up later. That's definitely not it.
For sure.
So what's the best way to start doing an intermittent fast? One thing that we really recommend is to start a little bit slower, just like the gym. You don't want to jump right into it and start, especially if you're not used to it, not eating for 16 hours. It can be a big transition for a lot of people. It is possible to keep it up for a long time, but you want to make sure that it's something that you can do and can be consistent with. Right. So, I think we have a question here. How strict should that be? 15 hours, make a change? I honestly, if you're just starting, I would maybe start with just skipping breakfast or skipping one meal and then going to maybe a 12-12 first, or even something like a 14-hour eating window and a 10-hour fasting window. Try something that feels a bit easier so that when you start cutting away at that eating period, it feels more like a natural transition and another step as opposed to a big leap.
100%. And also, I just wanted to throw in here that intermittent fasting can be dangerous for some people with diabetes, people who are pregnant or nursing, anybody with like a history of like disordered eating or anything like that. Just talk to your doctor before you start doing anything dramatic. I keep reiterating, we're not giving you medical advice to treat any kind of issue or problem that you might have. We just want to kind of throw these ideas out here for something to think about. It's purely education.
Exactly. And okay, Noxer has a cool something to share with us.
Speaking of eating, I noticed last Ramadan I could consume a decently sized bowl of soup. This Ramadan I get full after a small bowl. Yeah, so actually as you participate in fasting, your body so your stomach has sensors in it. Everything that you do is some kind of feedback loop in the body. Like, you don't stick your hand in fire because it hurts. You don't eat until you explode because you get full. As you do things more and more, generally as a rule, the sensors kind of decrease their output. So if you put your hand in hotter and hotter things slowly, it's kind of like the frog analogy. Eventually, like, you can boil a frog if you just increase the thing very slowly over time. So as you eat less and less, your stomach will actually tell your brain, hey, I've had enough earlier, because you're kind of up-regulating the response is what that's called, and down-regulating the response when it's going the other way. So you're down-regulating the response when you are eating more and more, and your body's like, I can handle this, is no problem. I'm not going to tell the brain this is a problem. But as you eat less and less, your stomach becomes more sensitive. It's like, hey, this was enough food. So it definitely helps in a lot of ways. Fasting is a great thing from so many perspectives.
Yes. But if you have any of those caveats we mentioned before, make sure to check it with your doctor first.
Yeah, 100% talk to your doctor before starting any big changes in your diet.
Exactly. Mark asks, hi, can I ask how to fix a schedule after a hard tournament and it's dropped and can't reset? Are you talking about your sleep schedule, your diet?
Yeah.
What do you mean by schedule, Mark? As you're typing, we'll go to the next slide.
All right, so next we're going to be talking about some supplements. This is what everyone wants to talk about. Now, John, I'll hand it over to you.
Yes. So first off, like we've been mentioning, if you're going to take some supplements, make sure to talk to your doctor first. Be sure to let them know what other medicine you're taking, because sometimes they can interact and you don't want any nasty side effects, even if it is just over-the-counter stuff. And once you do agree with your doctor that supplementation is a good idea, you want to choose products that are manufactured in a reputable facility and is verified and trustworthy. And just remember that the FDA doesn't license dietary supplements for medicinal use. So there's not a lot of really awesome research or backing for some of these claims. So if something says it's going to give you God tier, shroud, ninja, aiming skills just with one pill, maybe be a little suspicious and do a little bit of your own due diligence, look into some research, ask your doctor about it to really make sure that whatever the product is saying it's going to do, it actually will.
Right. And a lot of these things, all of these supplementations, there's really nothing that we've seen that's going to make, that's going to give you a huge edge. The benefits of some of these things are minimal at best. I'm talking like maybe 5 to 7%. The rest of the things that you're going to do that are really going to improve your ability long term are going to be things like exercise, making sure you're eating a balanced diet, getting enough sleep, making sure you're taking care of your mental health. Those are the 4 pillars of performance. Supplementation, while part of that nutrition pillar, it's a small part of that nutrition pillar. Right. So, like, I get that you guys are trying to min-max because you're trying to be the best, and absolutely nothing wrong with that as a gamer. But just want you to know that this is the min part of the min-max.
All right. So Mark finished up his question about sleep and meals. Okay. So you've been randomly sleeping already a week, and you can't normally eat for now. Okay. So this sounds like you have a overall schedule problem. This is a tough one. So one thing I find that helps me if my sleep is really off is making sure that I try to just abide by a schedule as much as possible. I know that sounds like, oh, John, great. That's super helpful. But if you set a time to go to bed, try to stick to it. And if you're tossing and turning, don't stay in bed, get up, do a little bit of light stretching while the lights are still off. Make sure there's not a lot of light in your room. That can help you get to bed. And building a routine to go to bed can help a lot too. So things like, okay, before I go to bed every night, I make sure to brush my teeth, wash my face. I'll do a little bit of journaling so I know exactly what I need to do tomorrow, and I can offload some of those thoughts in my head. And then that tells my body and my brain that I'm ready to go to sleep. Those are really, really great ways. And then for the eating, I'm not sure if you mean by the content or the timing, but
I think probably the timing if it's a scheduling concern. And just set timers for everything, man. Like if you set a time to wake up at 8 a.m., make sure you're out of bed. I guarantee that night you'll be tired. You really just have to kind of be a little bit more disciplined with sticking to that schedule. I know it's difficult. But getting up in the morning early at a consistent time will definitely make it so that you can go to bed at a consistent time. And it's going to be rough for the first couple weeks, but just kind of trying to stick to that schedule is super important. Same thing for eating. Set a timer. I mean, assuming that you don't have like a crazy schedule that requires you to be driving around town on odd hours and things like that, or waking up in the middle of the night for children or something to that effect. But yeah, I would say just set as many timers as you can and just try to stick to it as hard as you can. And don't beat yourself up if you miss one, but the longer you stick to the consistent schedule, the longer you are more disciplined, you will be able to cement that schedule. I think they say it takes 40 days to make a consistent habit change. So kind of expect to be in it for the long haul.
And keep in mind that we're just helping you out with a couple lines of text. If you really think that your sleep is a really big issue for you and you need help, go see a sleep therapist. We have one on staff here, and he's helped out a lot of our clients to sleep a lot better and improve their performance. So if you think you need the professional help and you can afford it, then I highly recommend it. Having someone whose job it is to know how you sleep and improve it can be a really, really powerful thing. And Noxer asked if there's beta alanine, is there alpha alanine?
Wah, wah, wah.
That's a good
meme.
one. Good meme. So that wraps up the nutrition section. Does anybody
Yeah,
have any questions?
I just wanted to add in here that there was a really big emphasis on olive oil in one of the studies that I found as being like super effective at improving BDNF. So I typically for diet recommend people follow like a Mediterranean diet. Not saying that every diet or that one diet is good for everybody, but just in general, I think Mediterranean diet has a really good blend of a lot of the different things that you need to be successful in eating. And olive oil is obviously a big part of that diet. So I would just recommend instead of dressing your salad with ranch dressing, put a little bit of olive oil on there. Could help your aim. But yeah, this whole list of supplements that you see here are all the supplements that have been tied in some way, shape, or form to improving BDNF levels. So if you guys take a look at that article that I sent, you can find this list there. You can compare it if you guys are looking into buying a supplement, see what actually is on that list that's in whatever it is you're planning to take, and just kind of cross-referencing there. Alrighty.
Exactly.
So let's talk.
You haven't mentioned age in relation to BDNF. Did I miss it?
I think age is inversely related to BDNF production. So as you get older, BDNF levels actually drop. And like I was saying earlier, that BDNF can kind of be associated with some cognitive issues and some cognitive issues we see in aging. So a lot of these studies actually have to do with older populations because that's where they really care about BDNF production. Things like Alzheimer's disease and stuff are kind of associated with it as well. So a lot of the studies are in older people. So it makes it harder for us to take those studies and apply them to you guys as gamers because it's not the same age population. But yeah, that's definitely a huge consideration when looking at the population for BDNF changes.
And Knox actually had a question about Zazen sitting, which after a quick look at Dr. Google, it looks like a posture for meditation. I think it's if it's something that helps you get into that meditative mindset, I see no problems with it. It would just be a mobility issue from my eyes, whether you can maintain it and it's a comfortable position for you.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure if you had some specific questions about it.
Questions, kind of the more random questions for the AMA section, and we're just going to kind of stick to questions specifically about the slides at the moment, which we're about to get to the AMA here in about 20 minutes. So just hold your questions till then. All right, John, up next, we're talking about socialization.
Let's do it. So, according to the research, gamers categorized as internet game disorder are able to maintain their levels of BDNF through socialization online when compared to non-gaming populations. So it just shows that those online relationships you make with your guildies, with your clan, with your friends, those are still very valid relationships. And this research is showing that the BDNF levels show it too. And the gamers in the study primarily did play WoW, which is a naturally social game.
So yeah, let's back up just a little bit. There was a whole research study that looked at gamers that had internet gaming disorder, or people that were kind of like your typical WoW junkie burnouts. I was one of those at one point in my life. But they looked at BDNF levels in this population, and that was cool because it's gamers, and there's not a lot of research on gamers, and I get excited. But basically, they showed that BDNF levels were actually raised in gamers that had more social structure than those that didn't. So basically, the point here is don't just grind solo queue all day. You got to be talking to other people. And I think there's some considerations as well for kind of face-to-face interactions. Basically, the way that your body works is that you get cues. Sorry to hijack this from you, John. I just had a lot to say.
It's okay. I know WoW's your baby, so it's all right.
So there's something to be said for social cues as well. So when we talk to someone in person, you can see them. You can see their facial expressions. You can hear their voice. You can hear their voice online as well, so that transfers over. But engaging all five senses is going to actually help improve your ability to get the social benefit. Even smelling somebody helps improve that connection. Not to say that you can't get some of that online, but engaging even just a couple of senses, sight and sound through the internet can definitely be a way to get some of the benefits from this, as opposed to literally, like I said, just grinding solo queue. Social distancing.
And games are more fun when you play with your friends, guys, so why not?
Yeah, 100%. Anything else you wanted to add there, John?
No, just exactly what you said. If you can have some friends that it's a good way to keep in touch too. I play with some friends regularly every week, and it's something I look forward to every time. And it also keeps my BDNF levels up, so works on a low level.
All about getting that BDNF pump.
Yeah. So what's the best dosage? Basically, we don't want good to be the enemy of great. So if you find that you're in a situation that you're in solo kill, you're grinding and grinding and grinding, and you're not really interacting with other players in a meaningful way, flaming does not count, you could be doing yourself a competitive disservice. So if you're playing in a competitive situation, and you can make it a social thing as well, then try, right?
Or take some breaks from solo queue to go play some random games with your friends.
Yeah.
If you are on the degenerate grind to get to the top, and I'm not knocking that, it's important. You got to grind if you want to be successful, for sure. But it's also important to take some breaks and play maybe something else with your friends occasionally.
Play some Among Us.
It will
play
make
some
you
more with
better
your
when you
friends.
come back, is our point.
Yes, exactly. You'll feel better too. And like we said, BDNF also helps with tilt management. So if you find you're getting really angry at solo queue, spend some time with your friends, play some chill games, and I bet you when you come back to it, you'll feel a lot more resilient with your emotions.
When the doctor is sus. Which one of us is the sus doctor? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. We're not in medbay. What are you talking about? So what's the best schedule when it comes to socialization? We don't have actually any studies that show the exact amount that's necessary to optimize your BDNF levels, but from our experience, about 2 hours a day of social interaction with people in real life or fun, relaxed gaming context, if possible, is a good metric to aim for. And let's not forget the other things that can really help. I don't know. We got to vote one of you out. Well,
John's the imposter, so you got to vote for him.
Yeah, you can't even see me. I'm just a disembodied voice, so I feel like I'm way more sus than this other guy here. So the other things that can really boost BDNF is sleep. Sleep is huge. It also helps to make your reaction times faster, makes you think faster, and BDNF is part of that. So having the higher quality sleep is linked with that increased BDNF in the brain, and as we know, the higher levels of BDNF in your brain are also linked to getting higher quality of sleep at night. It's a really awesome positive feedback loop. But it's a cycle that you can kickstart with the exercise that Elliot was talking about earlier. Then also, go ahead, Elliot. Did you want to add something?
No, I'm just
yupping.
Just yupping.
Okay. Then also the sun can have a really positive effect on BDNF levels. They looked at an analysis of 2,851 individuals in the Netherlands, and BDNF was increased in the spring and summer and decreased in the fall and the winter. And they were also correlated to the number of hours a person was exposed to the sunshine. So even though we know that sun creates glare on your monitor, try to get a little bit of sun into your life too. The vitamin D is also good for your bones. So it's got a lot of positives. Just watch the glare.
Go outside, you degenerates.
Well, not without a mask. You can also use windows. Windows are also perfectly viable.
Yeah.
If you are in lockdown. So it's important. Yeah. Get vaccinated too. You should do that.
Yeah. All
right. So if we want to condense everything down, or Elliot, would you like to conclude?
You can go for it.
Okay. So let's talk about the big things you can take away from this presentation. If you want that short-term boost, you want to exercise for about 3 minutes. That'll give you that little bit of an extra chutzpah when you're going into, say, aim training or a tournament. If you want that, I did say chutzpah.
That's a word.
It is a
word I
word.
don't know the meaning of, but it's a word.
It's I guess a little pep in your step, or just more fire in your belly. That's the way I like to think of it.
Well, vitamin D supplements, so you're not forced into the outside world. Vitamin D supplements can be good, but I think that the BDNF has more to do with. So this is a different chemical that's released by the sun. So it's not vitamin D that we're talking about here, which is also unlocked by the sun. So I don't think you can really replace the sun with a vitamin D supplement to get the BDNF benefits.
Yes. And just open up as long as you have the windows open, you still technically get the sunshine. So you don't have to actually go outside if you don't want to.
For sure.
Paranoid. Right. So going back to the nutrition side of things, that's strat 2. It's the fasting. So ideally a 16-hour window where you're fasting, 8-hour window where you're eating. For most people, that tends to be skipping breakfast, starting to eat lunch at around noon, and then your last meal is at 8. Then strat 3 is the socialization side, which we just talked about, which is the 2 hours a day, either in-game or more likely right now online, which is also in-game, so I said the same thing. But just interacting with people will help. Then the sleep, 8 hours a night at least. For most people, it might be a bit more. And just getting a little bit of sunshine, so 30 minutes a day. All right, and then how do all of these compare in terms of scale? Is exercise more effective than diet or socialization or sun? That is a very good question. Elliot, what do you think?
What's that?
Nazairo had a great question. So which of all these different strats is the most important for your BDNF levels? Is it the exercise, is it the nutrition, or is it something like the socialization and sun exposure?
I think exercise is linked with the most benefits based on the information that we were able to see. I think we ordered it in the order that it comes. So exercise and then nutrition.
Yes. All right. Did anybody have any other questions before we hop over to the Discord channel? What about the artificial sun that China is making? That's a good question.
I'm not entirely sure what property of the sun stimulates the BDNF.
Because
I would assume it's the UV light. But I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah. Because if it was just the warm color, then just having the right colored light bulbs would help. But no, we need the sun, so I suspect you're right.
Figure out what they looked at.
Oh, other resources to learn more. Elliot wrote a great article about it in the description if you want to take a look at that.
So take a look at the description and click the link there for the article if you want to see all the references and stuff like that. This study looked at
and at the very end, you'll see a huge list of all the references. Yeah. If you want to read some of the papers. Or we also have a really awesome Patreon thing called Evidence Esports. If you want this to be a topic for one of the months, then let us know here or on Twitter or Discord. And we'll do a deeper dive into BDNF too. What do you think?
Like they know the mechanism yet of why the sun is important. They just know it has to do with the seasons.
Okay. So maybe it could even be connected to something like seasonal depressive disorder. Where
it has a lot of tie-ins to that as well. And BDNF has a lot to do with depression as well. Very cool.
And Cesar asks, what do you think is the most important takeaway from the whole presentation?
I think it's just important I think that all of the studies that we found really just lend credence to everything that we preach for different reasons as well. You need to be exercising. You need to be sleeping right. You need to be eating right. You need to be working on your mental health. Like, that's really the big takeaway here is that when I was diving into this topic, it was really exciting to see that we were getting positive reinforcements on all of the things that we were already preaching for other reasons as well. That BDNF was just one small piece of this big overarching puzzle of performance.
Hmm. I think it's just that if you want a bit of a brain boost and you don't have a ton of time, you can still make a really positive effect in just 3 minutes. Even if it is just doing some air squats or jumping jacks, you can have that on tap little bit of a buff potion in your back pocket if you need it.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the BDNF is super helpful for retraining your brain, promoting plasticity, which is your brain's ability to make changes to itself. And that's the main takeaway here, is that we're trying to help the brain be able to make changes. And that's why we decided to bring this topic to you guys. It's because you guys are an AIM training community. So I assume that is what you guys are most interested in doing and how to do that most effectively, so you're getting the most bang for your buck. All right, guys, I think we are heading over into the Discord stage in the VOLTAIC channel. So I guess we'll see you all over there in the Discord.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can
Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in a bit.
See you, everybody. Take care.